Cool. Grant, thanks for chatting with us today. For those of you guys who are watching this video, um, Grant is our team lead here at the agency and also a kind of big time real estate coach. Um, I think he's a big deal. Anyway.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I just wanted to talk, I wanted to go through kind of some questions that buyers have. And some different things. So start off simple. Like, what is your opinion of the current state of the real estate market?
Okay, the current real estate market's fairly strong. It's a seller's market, and it's been a seller's market for quite some time, going all the way back from 2011. We've been expecting a shift for many years now, but it just seems to be, at least in Southern California, it doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon. This is due to money being readily available and cheap. Rates are super low, inventory is tight, and as much as we hear about people fleeing the state for a multitude of reasons, people still want to live here. I mean, there's more people coming here than there are people leaving. So housing prices are through the roof. You guys know that rent were through the roof for a very long time too. So people are looking for a way to grab a piece of equity, and so it's very much a seller's market right now.
Okay. What kind of experience, because it is a seller's market and we're, talking to buyers this morning, like what kind of experience should a buyer expect and prepare for?
Well, I would say this is definitely an environment where you want to put your best foot forward. I mean, gone are the days where you might hear from an old coworker or a family friend or relative who said, oh, I bought a couple years ago, I bought 4 or 5 years ago, or back when I bought, we would make an offer, $50K under list price and try to meet somewhere in the middle and bargain. There are deals to be had, of course, in this market. If you're buying a home for yourself and it's not an investment, you're not going to throw an all cash offer at it. You're going to most likely end up paying above list price in this market. And I want to just mention that list price is arbitrary right now. List price doesn't mean that's market price. So you might encounter situations where you are overpaying above what list price is, but the market value could be well above what they listed at anyway, right? List price is just determined by a seller and a listing agent. So it's arbitrary.
Have you found that people are listing, at least this has been my experience, but have you found that people are listing well below market to get a lot more eyeballs on it, and then it's going how much over?
So that definitely is a strategy. And what you're seeing in the price points, in the normal price points, we call it anywhere from 5 to $1 million. You're seeing 50 showings over a weekend. And in some cases you're seeing 10 to 20 to even 30 offers, right? So that's what you're competing against. Now in the higher price points, I'd say 1 to 1.5, maybe even just under 2, you're still seeing that kind of activity. Obviously the group of buyers is a little bit smaller, but you still are seeing multitudes of offers, probably between 5 and 10, sometimes even above that.
Interesting. So it's super competitive, obviously. What are some of the things I should, as a buyer, do to make sure we have the best chance of success?
I would say get prepared earlier, sooner than you think. Buying a home is emotional and it kind of creeps up on you, right? So you might say, well, I'm going to wait until a certain date. I'm going to wait till the fall. I'm going to wait till this season or that season, or I heard this is a better time. Even if that's the case, make sure you do your homework first. And when I say homework, I mean, get your financial stuff in order, speak with a lender, start touring homes in person sooner than you think, because it's one thing to look at homes online. It's drastically different when you see where they are, what the neighborhood is like, what the commute actually is, how the people around the house are. That gives you a better idea of why houses are priced a certain way and why some sell quickly and why some might sit a little bit longer. And most importantly, when you already realize you want to buy a house, that's when you're emotionally invested, and that's when things can get a little tricky, because you're like, I want a home, I want a home, I want a home. Why does this seem so hard? If you do that legwork ahead of time, you're already prepared. You know what prices, what house price should be,
what you can afford.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know that, hey, they might have priced it here, but I know after watching this neighborhood for a couple months, I know that it's going to go for $100K above what they listed for. or I know that they listed 100K above what it should be and no one's going to bite, right? So that way you're getting that firsthand knowledge yourself. And when a deal comes along and you have to act quickly, you're not feeling like you're under the gun, ill prepared, and worst case scenario, get buyer's remorse and kind of, miss out on an opportunity.
And I feel like in that, strategizing with your real estate professional is pretty important, so like they've got a lot of like on the ground knowledge from other buyers that they can impart to you in your journey and all that, but definitely getting prepared, I think, is key. You mentioned financials on the loan side. How is that related to what the real estate agent does?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We get asked that a lot. A lot of people kind of convolute the two. There's the mortgage side handles the financial portion, like how are you going to pay for the home, whether you're going to finance it with a lender, if you can do cash, all that kind of stuff. We focus on getting the house for you, negotiating on your behalf to make sure the house is at least in the condition you're expecting it to be in, navigating through all the negotiations, and then finally handing you keys, right? The thing is, these kind of go hand in hand, and there's a lot of timelines that coexist with each other, be it for setting up appraisals, inspections, escrow, deposits and whatnot. So we have to work hand in hand very closely with whichever lender you're going to go with. So obviously we have lenders we've been working with for a very long time that we know, love, and trust. If you have your own lenders, that's fantastic too. Just know that you want to make sure that there's someone who is responsive at nights and weekends too. This isn't like an 8 to 5 job, unfortunately. So if you have an institutional lender, just make sure that your contact is someone that you can get a hold of on a Saturday night, because sometimes that's what it takes.
Super important. Yeah. So important. Like there's nothing more
there's been a lot of these like lenders that are available now, which is very convenient and nice, but just be wary. If someone's giving you a pre-approval or pre-qualification and not really asking you for documentation, that doesn't really hold water. And the rest of the industry, at least on the real estate side, is catching up to that. A lot of listing agents have been getting burned because they'll accept an offer with some national online lender, only to find out that the documentation hasn't been brought in and the deal kind of falls apart right as it's about to get going. So listing agents are privy to this. So make sure you're using a reputable lender and make sure that they're actually examining your financials before they give you some sort of documentation. Otherwise, it won't stand up, and then it's gonna be crushing when you finally get accepted, you're about to pop bottles and celebrate, and then find out there's an issue on the lending side. It's challenging.
Well, and I feel like 20 and 30 offers on properties, the offers are being scrutinized a lot more, and that's one of those things that's like a first, like, nope, we don't trust this lender, they're out. So actually having a lender like one of our lenders who we really like actually calls the other agent and says, yes, this person is qualified, so on and so forth, and that floats a long way. So
yeah, you got to remember when it's so competitive and you have 10, 15, 20 offers on a property, I mean, the listing agent and the seller are only willing to go through so many offers in detail. Sooner or later, they all start to look alike, right? Right. There's small details that we know that can separate you from the pack, because we represent sellers too. So we know exactly what they're looking for, and we know how listing agents coach their sellers. So we know how to position the offers where, if it's within, $1,000, $2,000, prices and everything, right? It goes down to, have I worked with this agent before? Do they know what they're doing? Is the offer clean, right? There's all these little nuances boiling down even to the lender, then the reputation that can affect which direction they go and whether ultimately your offer is chosen.
Yeah. So as a buyer, I get excited about a property, and through the advice of the real estate professional, we beat out all the other offers, right? What do I expect then? Let me rephrase that. Am I locked into that? Say we beat out the other 40 offers. Am I then locked into that house? What if I wait, I've had a second thought.
So that's the question we get asked the most. So I'm glad you brought that up. So when we do our job right and you are the winning offer and you're in escrow and you're happy, a lot of times people kind of freak out because they're like, oh, I saw the property, it was emotional, I fell in love, and then I'll do anything for it. And then we move the sun, moon, earth, and stars to get them there. And then they're like, oh, well, this is kind of real now. It's kind of scary, right? And this is perfectly normal, and this is fine. Again, you can reduce this and minimize this by doing your research up front early with what you're comfortable with on monthly payments, what your budget truly is, and what other homes in the area are actually going for. And then you can decide for you and your family what's a better fit. But once you're in there, once you're in escrow, our job is to put the ball in your court, right? So if you open escrow and you're the selected offer, that doesn't mean you're completely locked in. Your deposit is not necessarily at risk at that point. There are contingencies in the offer, every offer that we write, that give you the opportunity to back out and keep your deposit if you find out that the property is not a good fit for you, right? So the last thing we want is anyone to have buyer's remorse. We will steer you and guide you in a way that will help you have the strongest at-bats and try to give you the position of decision-making power, so that it's just between you and the seller and you decide whether or not the property is good for you. Otherwise, if you never even get to that point, you can say, well, this is the property for me, but I'm 1 out of 60. How do I make that happen, right?
Right.
But once you're there, once you're on top, you decide. You let us know whether or not it's still a good fit. And we can make it for you.
Well, and that's why I feel like the buyer, us agents need to definitely sit down with each buyer and have a good, strong buyer consultation to prepare the buyer for, all these things that are going to happen, because it is probably one of the most emotional things that all of us have gone through or will go through. So yeah, that's great. Thank you for that, Grant. That's amazing.
Happy to help.
Hey, Grant, one last question before I let you go. How has COVID affected the market and affected the home buying process? Can you go over that for us real quick?
Yeah, I mean, initially the market paused a heartbeat, right? Because we weren't an essential service for 2 weeks. We were not essential, so there's no real estate that could be conducted. But once the government let us sell real estate, the only thing that's missing now is we don't get to do in-person open houses, right? I mean, what you see is modified open houses where it's an open house by appointment. Other than that, we're still using 3D modeling or virtual tours and all that other kind of technology to kind of really help with getting people understanding homes,
social media,
all that kind of good stuff. Now, as far as the industry, seemingly it's kicked into overdrive even more than you would imagine, right? Like normally you would think, okay, well, there's instability, economic instability, employment instability, so all of a sudden you're thinking, well, that's going to cause a slowdown in the real estate market. But it's been on the opposite. The difference between now and 2008 is people have equity, whereas they were getting loans in 2004 with zero down, so they had no skin in the game. These days, all the people who own houses, they have equity in their home. So if they're going to sell, if they need to sell, it's not a short sale. It's not going to go to foreclosure. And people are realizing that whatever home that they were okay with before, maybe it's a smaller condo or a smaller home, they're more focused on traveling. They're realizing that they want more space. They want a pool, they want a backyard, they want to be able to run, stretch their legs, catch some sun. So you see a lot of people moving away.
School their kids in a different area.
They're moving into the suburbs as a result of that, because they want the space, they want the land. They're moving out of the whole condo and high-rise situation. So you got a lot of movement coming here from the west side, where we're in the San Gabriel Valley. We have a lot of people coming from the west side because for their dollar they get a lot more out here than over there.
For sure.
So I would say the market is very active, and it's currently a seller's market.
Excellent. Again, thank you for that, Grant. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time. And we'll talk soon.
Happy to help. Have a good one.